guys for sure that talk about this winery that's been around for thousands of years and how they've gotten all of this land holding. But the mystery to me is, you know that these wines actually come with a signed piece of paper that the Domaine actually keeps track of the serial numbers on them. They're all numbered. I find this amazing. So when you buy a bottle of Domaine Romanee Conti and you're drinking of the O2 vintage bottle number 1,429, there's somewhere at the winery where it was written down that bottle 1,429 went to Larkspur. Michael Burton brought it down in his van, and he said, Kevin, you need to sign for these. There's really, really the commitment that this winery has to this product is pretty unbelievable.
Aubert de Villaine, the proprietor of the winery, feels that the wine should not be treated as a commodity. And that is he's made a major push out there. Yes, the wines are very expensive. They're probably at the top some of the most expensive wines in the world. However, they are treated in some countries like commodities. In the United States especially, we've chosen not to let the wines be treated as such. They cannot be just flipped. And we don't sell them to people who just like to go out and sell these wines as something like stock that we will flip around tomorrow. We want them to go to the greatest Burgundy buyers in the world, and that is where we choose great restaurants. Latour beer restaurant, that we would do that. You know, that same thing. We want these Burgundies in those kind of accounts, people that know these wines. I go through the list every year. Meet with people like
Get up by buyers like me and Jamie to get more Montrachet and find out where our allocations are, and Jonathan and Wendy, and find out why we can't get more wine. But honestly, they just don't make more wine. And I always thought about this, and this is, you ever notice on a Burgundy bottle how small the actual producer's name is on it? Like when you talk to Aubert de Villaine, can you even see where it says, you know, Domaine Romanee Conti on that bottle? Romanee Conti is the name of the vineyard, but it's so small. All of these guys, all they do is talk about place. Both on Claude Leflaive, I've done a ton of reading, both Aubert de Villaine, on Claude Leflaive, all of these, the two main people behind this, certainly Madame Valois, in her involvement, they're not about themselves, they're not about oak programs, they're not about anything except about what happens in the vineyards. These guys are terroir fanatics, and no more is that idea of terroir more apparent than I think in these DRC wines. And I don't know why, I don't know what it is about Burgundy that draws people to it like magnets. There's industry people, there's Paul, there's Jamie, there's Jeff Barwig in the back, Wendy and Jonathan Stoffer here from another store, there's Craig Bale right here. Over half of the people who are at this tasting came here because they love Burgundy and they're Burgundy fanatics and they wanted to increase their knowledge about it. And I went to Burgundy a couple years ago because I wanted to really understand more about it and understand why all of these vineyards that seem very, very close to each other, actually all after centuries, then sort of dialed into the quality of wine and the specificness of what they're about. You know, you'll go into Gevrey-Chambertin and there'll be a road and there'll be a stone wall and you'll have one vineyard over here and you'll have one vineyard over here and you'll be able to say that, well, this vineyard over here has more limestone or has bigger drainage in the soil, or so-and-so gets this part of Clos Vougeot, so you can expect it to be over here. You know, when we talk about vineyards in Napa over there, I think, you know, let's talk about Bordeaux, the other great area in, or Champagne. When we talk about Champagne, you talk about estates, you don't talk about vineyards. In Bordeaux, you don't talk about, does anybody know anything about the vineyards from Mouton Rothschild? I don't know anything. You don't even talk about it. You know what I mean? Burgundy is the only place really that really trumps the sense of terroir, and it's really all about the grapes. And that to me was most important about these wines. I brought a couple of props with me, and I won't really bore you, but this is a really great book. It's called Terroir and the Wine Grower. I actually got it at a bookshop in Beaune, and in Aubert de Villaine, please feel free if I butcher any French, just let me know.
That's also good.
I'm a Portuguese person trying to speak French. His topic is reflections on terroir. He doesn't talk about winemaking. He doesn't talk about yields. He doesn't talk about this or that. He talks about grapes. He talks about terroir, which is the sense of place, which is really important. And so when you're talking about, oh, I prefer Bessarge to Chevalier, or I really like the Chassagne side of Montrachet, it's really important when you start to peel the onion skin away in Burgundy is to really think about place. I was going to read this to you, but I don't think I will. Another great book that I found a lot of important information about it. This is The World's Greatest Wine Estates by Robert Parker, and he speaks both to Claude Lafleur and also to Domaine Romanee Conti as being some benchmarks in the world for great wine estates. And I really highly recommend this book. It's a nice book. It's got a lot of tasting notes, but it also really talks about some of the great wineries in the world.
The great Burgundy producers always talk about making wine from a Grand Cru that they can come up to the standard of the Grand Cru. The Grand Cru is the standard, not the winery. And they'll always put that forward. And it's funny because, we always, I have been taught, you buy wine from the producer. But still, a great proprietor of a Burgundy house will always talk about, I will strive. I've heard Aubert de Villaine say this, and I've heard Claude talk about this. I will strive to make the best wines from that district, to represent that district as well as I can. And that is a statement, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to they have more love, about their wines than anyone I've ever seen in the world. There's nothing like it. These people don't drive flashy cars. Aubert de Villaine drives a Citroen, it looks like tinfoil on wheels. And
pronounced Citroen.
Citroen, yeah. And that car is, you would think, okay, I'm Aubert de Villaine, I should be fabulous, I should be living that life. Something. He doesn't do that whatsoever. He is there to serve the vineyards, not the vineyards to serve him. So think about it in that sense. It's proprietorship, it's proprietor, it's ownership.
It's cool. I don't know. You talk. I just think as a concept and conceptually, I think that what really brings us back to Burgundy is it's really